Today is May 2nd, 2025. My name is Melissa Ackerman, and I will be interviewing Bud Silverberg for our program on Jewish Family Service Past Presidents. How are you today, Bud?
I'm fine.
Good to see you. How did you get involved with Jewish Family Service?
Rena and I moved to Dallas from New Orleans. We were living in New Orleans for 3 years, and we moved to Dallas in 1966. Okay, and Rena immediately got involved with the Jewish community. I was busy working at a position. I was with a large corporation as a tax attorney, and we had a very big problem with the company. So I was busy there. Rena was involved with the Jewish community, and one day both of us got questionnaires as to what we would like to do in the Jewish community.
Who put out a questionnaire? Do you remember?
I don't remember. It was probably the Federation,
Okay.
but I don't remember.
Okay.
And Rena put down Jewish Family Service, and I didn't know she put down Jewish Family Service, but I did also.
Mm-hmm.
And I was chosen to be on the board of Jewish Family Service. I guess that was about 1969.
Had you been involved in any activities, or you just had heard about the agency?
I just heard about the agency. I really had not been involved with any Jewish organization as such. So I was elected to the board, and about 3 or 4 years later, Shirley Tobolowsky nominated me to be president of the board, and I was elected as president. I think my term was from 1975 to 1977.
So you didn't have to be on the board quite as long as, I think now the presidents are going about 15 years from the time they get on the board to finishing their term. Yeah. Yeah. So tell me some of the programs or committees you were involved with, or things you enjoyed doing at the agency.
You mean with the agency?
With the agency.
Well, I'll tell you, when I became president, it was Bernie Goldstein's last year. Bernie was the heart and soul of this agency. And he was a wonderful person and a wonderful person to work with. And when Bernie told me that he was retiring, I suggested that he and Hannah, his wife, take off 2 or 3 weeks and just go someplace and get away and relax, because he had really earned it.
Mm-hmm.
And Bernie said thanks, but he never did, and he worked right up to the very last day before he retired. The next year, Arnie Marks came in as executive director, and Arnie came into the tough time. I really enjoyed Arnie, enjoyed working with him, but he was not from Dallas. So it took him a little time to get acclimated with the community, and we had the Russian problem, quote unquote, and I'll explain that in a minute.
Okay.
But Arnie was faced with that, and he really had his hands full, and it was fun working with Arnie. I don't know whether Arnie broke me in as president or I broke him in as executive director. At any rate, we had a good time. I mentioned the Russian problem, and it was amazing, because that was the year that all the Russian immigrants started coming in, and we were flooded with Russian immigrants here in Dallas. And the agency would meet the Russians at the airport. They would find them an apartment. They would take them out to furnish the apartment, to find furniture, and then a part of the agency would take them around and try to find them jobs. So it was really a big undertaking. But then there was a Holocaust survivor who lived here in Dallas, who appointed himself to be the spokesman for these Russian immigrants. And I mean, he was tough. and he kept demanding things that were just, some of them were just unrealistic. Mm-hmm. And I know everybody at the agency was just really, having fits, having to deal with him and trying to get the Russians settled and everything. And
was he a Russian himself?
I don't know if he was from Russia or
a survivor.
Poland.
Okay.
But he was not an American.
Not difficult. Okay.
Born. And I had known this individual before I became president, and we had a pretty good relationship. Mm-hmm. So I met him one day and sat down and talked with him and explained to him that he was really causing more problems for the agency than they needed right at that point. And after the talk, I thought it would get better, but it didn't. And I remember, several months later, we had, I think it was a volunteer appreciation program at Marilyn Lazar's home. And a lot of people were there, and I was talking to this Holocaust survivor, and he seemed to be reasonable at the time. And I thought, by golly, I'm going to give him a chance to speak and see if that'll help. And I did, and he spoke, and he was very calm and very persuasive. And from that point on, he did not become a problem.
Oh, okay.
So I was really pleased that it mm-hmm. turned out that way. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of other things that the agency did. Sherry Portwood was in charge of adoptions, mm-hmm. and we had a lot of adoptions that came in. And other people that I worked with was Judy Menken and Shirley Gerson, and we had a great staff. It wasn't very big, mm-hmm. but they were very, very competent.
Mm-hmm. Where was the office located at that point?
Interesting question. I'm glad you asked, because at that point, the office was located in a different building just north of the Jewish community space. Mm-hmm. And it was right off of Central Expressway, and our offices were there, but at one point the offices had to be vacated because the owners were going to remodel the building, so Jewish Family Service had to move out. And they moved in with the Federation in the Federation's building, and it really was crowded over there. So
wasn't it in the basement?
It was in the basement, as a matter of fact. And but it was so crowded that we couldn't have our board meetings there. Mm-hmm. So what we did was we sat down and agreed that we would take turns having board meetings at each board member's home. And they started out at our home in Rena. We had the meeting first, and then Rena had set up a very beautiful and very yummy desserts and drinks and everything that everyone could sit around and schmooze afterwards. Mm-hmm. And that set the standard. Mm-hmm. So every month we would have our board meeting at a different board member's homes, and it was really a lot of fun, and we really became very close because of that.
Did that practice go on for a while? Well, meeting in different homes?
It went on until Family Service found another place to go to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Who were some of the various leaders during your time? Who was on your board? Do you remember?
Who was on the board?
On the board, or active people that came before you, people that came after you?
Well, I'll tell you who I worked with very closely, and I'll mention people in Family Service, and I'm going to mention people in the Federation.
Okay.
One person who I worked with was Barbara Guto, and Barbara was a dynamo. She was great, and we worked very closely together, and I don't know if Barbara ever became president of Jewish Family Service, but if she didn't, she should have, because she was really outstanding. Another person I worked with was Marilyn Lazar, and Hannah Lambert, and Shirley Ravinsky, and let me think, who else? Jerry Prager. Jerry was very active and a good guy to work with. And David Sikora. Those were the main ones, really. Oh, and with Federation, the person that I really worked with very closely was Stanley Pearl.
Okay.
Stanley was the president of the Federation, and I remember Henry.
Was he president when you were president of JFS?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Henry Cohn, I think, was president of the Center, and Milton Levy was president, I think, of Golden Acres, and it was just a great group.
Did you all meet together or have any kind of regular gatherings?
Well, we were on the executive committee together of the Federation.
Okay.
So we'd meet together, and Murray Mumbus was another one. I really enjoyed working with Murray.
A lot of important names from Dallas Jewish history.
You bet.
Were there partnerships between Jewish Family Service and other community agencies?
Well, we worked together quite a bit with, with Golden Acres and with the Center, and of course with Federation. But let me tell you something that happened during that time. There was a very vocal minority on our board that wanted Jewish Family Service to get involved with the non-Jewish community. And this was really a very interesting subject that kept coming up all the time.
Were they wanting you to serve more clients or offer more programming for the non-Jewish community?
They wanted
or just
to go
everything?
down to South Dallas. They wanted to go into West Dallas and East Dallas and just serve the non-Jewish community.
Most of the clientele was Jewish at the time you were
Yeah, at the time,
president.
most of the clients were Jewish.
Okay.
And one day, what was it? What was the big fundraising for Dallas?
United Way? No.
Well, anyway, the head of that organization came to to talk to us because they were giving funds.
Crystal Charity or something like that? Okay.
Well, it wasn't that.
That's something like
that.
Okay.
At any rate, I remember we had a meeting, and this issue came up as to whether Jewish Family Service should get into start serving the non-Jewish community. And this individual said, absolutely not. He said that there are limited funds that the Jewish community has, and they ought to be spent on Jewish clients. And the non-Jewish community had a lot of organizations that were helping the non-Jewish community. So we should keep doing what we were doing, and there were other organizations that were helping the non-Jewish community. So that kind of, ended that discussion right there. And let's see, what else we have. Another problem. Oh, let me tell you another thing that happened. My oldest daughter at the time, and she was 13, was a server at Tremont. Okay? Tremont was a place similar to Golden Acres. And one day Andra came home and she says, Dad, there's a lot of talk about Tremont being in financial distress, and that either they're in bankruptcy or they're going into bankruptcy. And I said, really? And she said, yes. So the next day I called the manager of Tremont and went over to visit with her, and I asked her point blank if that was true. She said, it's true. I said, I would like to have a board meeting of Jewish Family Service over here at Tremont, and afterwards I'd appreciate it if you would take the entire board on a tour of Tremont. She said, I'll be happy to. So we set up the board meeting, I think, for the next week. Our board took the tour and they loved it. They loved the place. And I don't know if you know where Tremont is, but it was right there at the tollway, and let me think. I wrote it down someplace. Well, anyway, it was right there just south of Galleria.
Oh, okay.
On the other side of LBJ from Galleria.
I remember. I know where it is. Mm-hmm.
And at that time, Tremont was built, but there was a lot of land around it that was vacant. Where the hotel is, the Hilton Hotel is, there was nothing there. And so after the tour, the board met, and I asked them what they thought, and they said this would be great to have Golden Acres move here.
Had there been talk about Golden Acres locating closer to town?
Yeah, because Golden Acres was way out in Gorland.
Yes.
And it was a real trip to get out there to visit family. So after the board said they were really impressed with the place, I talked to Stanley Pearl, who was the president, and I said, Stanley, I'd like to have you and the executive committee of Federation come over and take a tour of Tremont, and they did. And when they got through, they were kind of playing it close to the vest, and they didn't really say much. But the next day I talked to Stanley and said, we really liked it. So he said, give us a couple of weeks and let's see what we're going to do. And several weeks, Stanley told me that Golden Acres was against it. So
they just didn't want to.
I don't know.
They didn't
I don't
the
know
timing, or you don't know why.
reason.
Okay.
But they just dropped the idea.
And about what year was that?
Pardon?
About what year was that?
1975.
Okay.
And I mean, they could have had that land compared to what it is, the price now. They could have had that land for a song.
Oh, okay.
And every time I go by that area, I just kind of shake my head and think, boy, what they could have had.
Interesting. Interesting. What significant local, national, or international events had an effect on your era?
Well, I think the Israeli situation, you know, the Yom Kippur War, I think, was around 1970.
78, I think. Was it 78?
No, 68 was when they.
68 was 67 was 68
was when the Israelis got really everything and had to pull back. It's really interesting because I thought President Eisenhower was really a good president, but at the time he ordered the Israelis to move back from the Suez Canal. They had taken, you know, that was the 6-day war. And I was in the Air Force at the time, and I was attached to the 17th Bomb Wing. And he was not kidding when he told them to move back, because they were, at our Air Force base, they were putting wing tanks on the planes, on the bombers, to fly the Atlantic to help the Egyptians if the Israelis didn't move back. And that was a very big disappointment to me. And that really got me interested in Israel more than anything else at the time.
Okay. Had you been to Israel at that point?
We had not, but later on, when our son became bar mitzvah, we took him to Israel and had the bar mitzvah at the wall.
Oh, wonderful. I bet that was something. Okay, back to Dallas. What changes did you experience and have you experienced in the Dallas Jewish community over the years?
Well, there are a lot more Jewish people here in Dallas in the 1960s when we moved here. And family service has just exploded. It's just amazing what they have accomplished. And Michael Fleischer, who came in, I mean, he was unbelievable. He's the one who really, I think, set off the explosion.
He was here for a long time.
Oh, yeah, he did a great job.
And what kind of changes did you experience at the agency?
Well, they were doing more things. For instance, now the agency has a medical facility. Didn't have that when I was there. They were in a lot the big part was money. And Jewish Family Service got most of its money from the Federation, okay? And if anyone gave contributions to Jewish Family Service, the Federation deducted it from what Federation would give to Jewish Family Service. Well, during Michael's time, he changed that, and we were able to go out and fundraise on our own, and it's just amazing what's happened. Ethel's sale was a big part of that, and to me, that was just one of the big things
Yes.
that happened.
Yes, fundraising is a big part of the agency now.
Right.
Yeah, very successful. What were some of the initiatives to increase interest in Jewish Family Service during your period?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
What were some of the initiatives to increase interest in the agency during your time?
Well, during my time, it was so many Russians were coming over here, and the community was really interested in that. And I think that was a big, quote-unquote, advertising point for the agency, because the community became aware of what we were doing.
In relation to your time at Jewish Family Service, what are you most proud
At Family Service,
of your time and involvement?
I think what I'm most proud of is Rena. Because she was so helpful in giving advice, and she was just outstanding in everything. She supported everything I did, and she's an amazing woman.
That she is. Were there any special experiences or stories during your tenure you would like to share?
Well, I think I did.
You did, yeah.
With regards to Fremont, and with regards to my relationship with Bernie Goldstein. Those are two things that I thought were very important.
What is something about Jewish Family Service that is not commonly known that you would like the community to know and understand?
Well, I would say during my time, the focus in the Jewish community was on Golden Acres rather than on Jewish Family Service. And I think that since then, primarily because of Michael Fleischer, that the agency became really well known, and people became more interested and aware of what was going on.
Not the best kept secret anymore.
No.
No.
No, it really was. With Bernie Goldstein, it was really the best kept secret, because Bernie didn't go out and advertise or do anything. Bernie just worked and built up the agency and really built a fine foundation for the agency.
Is there anything else that I may not have touched on that you'd like to share?
No, the only thing I'd like to say is that there are several very active people in Jewish Family Service who passed away, and I'd like to acknowledge them. One of them was Hannah Lambert. I loved Hannah. She was so good to work with, and so competent, and a very caring person. Another one was Howard Hershkowitz, who just passed away. Howard was a great guy, a wonderful person to work with. And one person who I just became such a good friend to and just loved the guy was Dr. Saul Lurie. And all three of them have passed away, but I can't tell you the contribution they made to this agency.
Thank you so much for visiting with me today and for all you've done.
Thank you.